From the shadows of history, when the gods descended from the sky. When humans first looked up at the sky, they didn't just see stars. They felt something, staring back. And from thousands of years ago, ancient tales, stone carvings, and mythological texts all spoke of the same thing. Beings came from the heavens. They were not myths. They arrived and changed the fate of mankind. The Sumerians called them the Annunaki, meaning those who came down from above. They were not imagined deities, but rulers wielding technology power and knowledge beyond human comprehension. A civilization erased from time. Around 6,000 years ago, a civilization suddenly emerged in Mesopotamia, defying evolutionary patterns. They knew astronomy, architecture, law, and developed the first known writing system. Modern archaeology calls them the Sumerians. But the Sumerians themselves claimed their knowledge was a gift from the Anunnaki beings who came from a planet named Nibiru, said to orbit the sun in a long elliptical path. Each time it returned, human history was rewritten, not gods, but genetic engineers. In the ancient text, Enuma Elish, the Anunnaki, came to Earth in search of gold, a precious metal they used to heal their atmosphere. But the labor exhausted them, so a decision was made. We shall create a being from the dust of this land, but with soul strength and servitude. And thus, humanity was born, not by divine magic, but through genetic experimentation. Adam, not one man, but a genetic blueprint. The word Adam in ancient Hebrew doesn't just mean first man. It also translates as red clay, or that which comes from the earth. Sumerian texts describe a hybrid creature, half Anunnaki, half native, born after many failed attempts. Some were deformed, others couldn't reproduce, until they finally reprogrammed the DNA successfully, and they named him Adamu, the first being who could work, obey, and multiply. Tools, not children. The Anunnaki did not see humans as offspring. They saw them as programmable biological tools. Adamu and his kind were taken to a place called Eden, a heavily protected gold mining zone where the biological workers began their tasks. In the Bible, we call it the Garden of Eden. The unexplainable murals across Egypt, Sumer, Peru, and ancient India murals depict figures wearing astronaut-like helmets, holding objects resembling aircraft, and standing beside winged giants. Texts describe them flying through the skies in chariots of fire glowing like stars and vanishing into beams of light. Were these simply myths? Or did ancient people actually witness something and describe it using the only language they had? Whispers from history. Modern researchers from Zechariah Sitchin to Eric von Däniken argue humanity is not the product of natural evolution. We are a genetic leap created by beings from beyond this world. Their evidence, anatomically modern humans, appeared suddenly around 200,000 years ago. Our DNA includes segments labeled junk, found in no other species. Self-awareness, creativity, and a sense of the divine exist in no other primate species. And if it's true, if humans were created by the Anunnaki, if the Bible myths and ancient epics are distorted memories of a single event, then do we truly have free will? Are we children of God or the property of cosmic engineers? And if the Anunnaki return, What will we be? Descendants or assets? The grand experiment. Humans engineered and controlled when creation was a laboratory. In mythology, God says, "Let us make man in our image." But in ancient Sumerian texts, image wasn't spiritual, it was genetic. The Anunnaki did not create humans with words or miracles. They experimented, failed, and programmed DNA until they produced a species that could serve but not rebel. I mixed clay with the blood of a fallen god, Enki's clay tablet. Thus, humanity was born, a creature half god, half native. Hidden failures, lost texts reveal the early experiments were catastrophic. Some creations couldn't speak, didn't obey, or were violently unstable. At one point, early humans were treated like advanced livestock until the Anunnaki decided we need a species that obeys but isn't smart enough to revolt. They reduced parts of brain function, leaving traces in what modern science calls junk DNA, laboring in vast gold mines. According to Sitchin and other fringe scholars, the Anunnaki established mining operations in Africa, the Middle East, and South America, where humans extracted gold, silver, and rare elements. Adamu and his brothers worked 7 days, rested 1, no prayers, only commands. Tablet of Ninurta. It wasn't Eden, it was a biological labor camp. The invisible control system. Beyond physical labor, human minds were controlled too. The Anunnaki taught language laws and even instilled belief in a single, almighty God, not for spiritual awakening, but for societal stability. They installed high priests, prophets, and communicated through dreams and supernatural phenomena, a form of synthetic spirituality. Bloodline, hierarchy. Some humans were genetically engineered with higher concentrations of Anunnaki DNA. These became kings, pharaohs, emperors, rulers by design. Egyptians called them sons of Ra. The Sumerians, those of the star-born blood. Sounds mythical, yet modern genetics shows. Some royal bloodlines contain rare dominant traits, unusually low mutation rates, as if they were optimized in advance. But one day humans awakened. In Genesis, the serpent tells Eve, "Eat the fruit, you won't die. You'll know who you are. You'll become like the gods." In other words, consciousness was activated, and the Anunnaki panicked. Man has learned to think. We must divide their tongues, scatter them. Tower of Babel account. From creation to free being. When humans began to think, create, and question the experiment, spiraled out of control. The Anunnaki debated. Some wanted to wipe out humans with a global flood. Others, especially Enki, fought to protect them, and thus began a new era. Humanity was forgotten, but no longer fully enslaved. The uprising and the great exile, when humans were no longer silent. At first, humans worked, lived by commands. They didn't resist, they didn't dream, they didn't question. But gradually, something the Anunnaki never expected began to happen. Humans began to dream. They dreamed of freedom, of love, of a purpose beyond servitude. Some began to ask questions. Who are we? Why must we serve? Why do the gods not resemble us? And thus began the first rebellion in human history. The spark of awakening. This awakening didn't happen by accident. Some legends say it was Enki, the compassionate god, who secretly taught humans how to write, to think, to love, and to resist. In Greek mythology, he is known as Prometheus, the one who stole fire from heaven to give to mankind. And the cost Prometheus was chained. Enki was exiled because they gave humanity what the gods feared most: consciousness, the war of the gods. As humans slipped out of control, the Anunnaki were divided. The faction of Enlil, the ruling general, sought to destroy humanity. The faction of Enki, their creator, vowed to protect them. Ancient tablets speak of wars among gods, weapons that shone brighter than the sun, perhaps references to ancient nuclear devices. Cities like Sodom, Gomorrah, and Eridu were incinerated, erased from history. The Great Flood, a deliberate reset. Then came the final decree: let the waters cleanse, let memory be drowned, or let it all begin anew. The Bible calls it the Great Flood. Sumerian texts name it the Great Water Night, when the skies wept in fury. But one man survived Zeusudra, or Noah. He was warned by Enki. He built an ark, and he preserved humanity's seed. For not all gods wanted mankind to vanish. Memory sealed after the flood, humans lost nearly all memory of the age before. The gods no longer ruled openly, but hid themselves in myths, legends, and religions. They became angels. They spoke through prophets. They left clues in architecture symbols and ancient myths, but they no longer controlled directly. Humanity had become unpredictable, dangerous, and full of potential. Symbols that survived time. Across pyramids, temples, and sacred texts, recurring symbols appear: the all-seeing eye, the tree of life, the serpent symbol of awakening, the phoenix rebirth. These were not just art. They were warnings from those who once made us. Who are we after the exile? Once humans were no longer guarded tightly, they became free, but also alone. No more gods to guide them, no more cosmic guardians. And they began to ask, who is the real God? Why do we cling so fiercely to faith? And did the old gods ever truly vanish, or are they still waiting to return? Remnants left behind: DNA. Pyramids and who is God? Science. Can no longer stay silent. For centuries, scientists believed human evolution was linear, from apes to Homo sapiens. But growing evidence from DNA, unusual skulls, and impossible ancient structures has forced a reevaluation. In Peru, elongated skulls defy explanations based on head-binding traditions. In Iraq, Egypt, and India, stones weighing hundreds of tons were stacked with laser-like precision. Human DNA contains hundreds of sequences not found in any known Earth species. Science is beginning to admit we may not be purely terrestrial. The pyramids, machines of the stars. The Egyptians never claimed to have built the pyramids. They said the gods built them with light under Ra's command. The three great pyramids at Giza align perfectly with the Orion Belt stars within fractions of a degree. This precision is nearly impossible without space-based observation. Many researchers now believe the pyramids were not tombs. They were energy stations, interstellar beacons, or Anunnaki landing platforms. Are gods truly God? This is the most profound question. If the Anunnaki were advanced beings with powerful technology, are they God? If they created humanity, they are physical creators. But if they too were created by a higher force, then the spiritual concept of God still stands. The Anunnaki could be the instruments of God, or perhaps the fallen angels of religion, abusing power and later cast down. Modern-day callings. Since the 20th century, strange signals have been picked up from space. Many claim to be contacted, abducted, or receiving messages from beings of light. They don't describe flying saucers or mechanical beings. They speak of tall figures with deep eyes and radiant auras, apocalyptic visions and spiritual choices, a voice within their mind. Remember you once knew us, humanity, a portal to the universe. Today we are no longer mere creatures on a blue planet. We are a symphony of biology, physics, and spirituality. The memory of the Anunnaki may have faded, but they live on in ancient architecture. Their code remains in our DNA. Their whispers echo in our dreams. The question is no longer, were they real? It is, what are they waiting for, and how will we face them when they return?